Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. This is another paid request, this time for Bra It's Stipe. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos, topics, reactions, reviews, re-reviews, whatever it may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box down below. Could be for pretty much anything. Now, this is for a film called Forget Me Not from 2009. And I mean, I don't know if this would be a rant, does not be raging, but I think the title kind of fits because it did end up being a fairly forgettable film. I'll say this, there's one idea that is a kernel of a interesting idea. And that's the most positive I could say about this. Just the setup is, it's trying to be like a slasher film, but it's also a ghost story, revenge film. But the characters, the acting is okay. I wouldn't say the acting is bad. It's just that the characters are, I almost want to see wannabe American Pie types, but I think even that would be saying bad things about American Pie, which I don't mind, at least the first film. It just, there's not a whole lot to the actual characters. You have a lead girl, you have her brother, the lead girl has a boyfriend, they have other group of friends. One is cheating on his girlfriend. There's just not a lot to really describe these characters. And the only person you describe is the lead person because of her backstory of she played with this other girl when they were a kid. This game of kind of hide and seek. It was kind of like tag. I was going to say hide and seek, but kind of tag, where you play as a ghost. And you have to find the other person. And there's a rhyme that if you find the person, they turn to a ghost and blah blah blah. Because you have this brother and sister, Sandy and Eli, and there's a lot of talk about sex. Although there's not a lot of big old nudity. So it comes off as like a fucking tease. I'm like, okay, all this talk about sex, then give me the goods. Let me see the boobies. Even the lady's cabbage patch. Let me see it. Give me fuel, give me fire, give me what I desire. Ooh. Who did you have sex with? Fine, it was with your mom last night. That's what it's like, trying to be, I don't know, American Pie type of dialogue. So, I guess you could say we're trying to get to know the characters, but some of them come off as just douchebags. The lead girl, I mean, again, her acting is fine, but I was very indifferent because I barely knew much about even the lead. I did, except a bit of her backstory, which I'll talk about now. Well, I already did. Because they're much older, they're getting close to graduation, they decide to, after a party, to play that game we used to play when we were kids, so they don't play tag in a graveyard. I'm sitting there going, there's no fun anywhere else. Like, you guys keep talking about sex. But your fun is to play tag at a graveyard. How about go to a movie? How about go to a fucking roller rink? Find an arcade if you can. Find a shebang spot. She bangs. Hopefully on your face. Oh, she bangs. On your D-I-C-K. But no, they can't. That's the most they can have fun is play tag at a graveyard, and if I grab you, you turn to a ghost, and they say tag, but it seems like more hide and seek. And then there's this new girl, this new lady that comes in. Can I play? And okay, super warning spot. Where did this girl come from? You don't know. Nobody knows who this is. And she's like, oh, I love that game. Think about it. If you don't know a person and she popped up in the middle of a fucking graveyard, and you're like, how did she get here? Where did she come from? Where did she go? Is she Cotton Eye Joe? What the fuck's going on? No. Yeah, sure, okay. It's a bit weird, but come play with us. I'm like, yeah, it's more than fucking weird. She could be a serial killer. She could be a fucking dick robber. She cut your dick off, Lorena Bobbitt style, but then she puts it in her purse and go wear a necklace like Andrew Scott. You don't know. Although maybe that would have been more crazier movie. Pretty much the lead girl finds the new one, says, hey, new girl, you won. You won the game. And the new girl goes, do you remember me? No. You will. And the new girl jumps off a cliff, but then no one can find the body. The sheriff is, I mean, he's a nice guy, but you have to say to he's like, well, we couldn't find anything, any signs, we've seen things, it's someone making shit up. I don't go into spoilers, because that's the best way to describe it. The setup is, you find out this girl, when they were kids, there was some type of prank, it went wrong, and this girl was in a coma. You find out this girl is in a coma, but she can, so it's not really a ghost, so I guess you say like astral projection, or whatever the hell, somehow has this power where she looks like the Ring with a herky-jerky ghost. I mean, she moves like the Ring girl. That sounds weird. You know, the Ring, especially the remake of the Ring, she moves like that. And she'll kill someone. But this is what I'm saying, the one interesting part of this film. When you die, other than the lead, no one remembers you existed. In fact, it seems like they got wiped out of existence. So if this person dies, the lead lady remembers them, but the others going, who are you talking about? It never happened. And not only does it affect their minds, but it actually affects the world in the fact of, like, one person dies, and so the lead finds their home, but while their home was full of life and furniture and all sorts of stuff, earlier in the film, here, it looks like it has been used for 20 years. Or the sheriff has a son and daughter. When the daughter's killed, when they go back to the sheriff is a different person. He's got, in the beginning, he's got clean shaven. Now he's got facial hair. In the beginning, the sheriff was a good guy. Now he's much more mean, cynical, fuck you want. Again, that was an interesting idea that deserves a better movie. Like, that's, when I say a better movie, because, okay, now you have a lot of stuff you could play with in terms of story and in terms of plot, interest, intrigue. But a lot of it is kind of, the lead will mention a person's name, they give her a funny look, and then they walk away, and they try to ignore her and do their own business. And then it centers on, the kills. And again, either they ignore her, or they go, oh, what's wrong with her? I don't know, she's been weird all day. Or, I don't know who you're talking about, or... they just think she's crazy. And that's other than those little bits I mentioned, that's like the furthest it gets to. And it just seems like this is an idea that you could do a lot more with. And the death scenes, I mean, I wasn't really impressed by them. I mean, okay, one gets pulled into the water and drowns. One seems like it would be gorier than it is, because he gets pushed into machinery, his hand, but you see, blood splatter. That's probably the worst that you get, is blood splatter. One is driving and the ghost attacks and flips his car in a car explosion. And this is spoilers. They said spoilers. One gets pulled into the sand and drowns via sand. One gets electrocuted. One glass explodes and then you see a little bit of glass on their face, which is probably the most effects other than the ghost, because that's another thing. When someone dies, like the rhyme in the game, they become a ghost. But it just seems like you get an intriguing idea. I like that idea. That if something kills you, you're not just dead, your entire... you existing is erased. Almost like a... I tried to do like a Back to the Future, erased from existence. But it deserved a better movie. It deserved a better usage of characters or development of characters, or not like a wannabe it's like a wannabe Japanese ghost story movie. From that time when, remember, America was remaking all these movies, not just The Ring, not just The Grudge, but you had like Dark Water, and you had, what was it, I almost said The Phone, I forget what it's called. There was like a ton of those type of stuff. Yeah, The Eye with Jessica Alba, like all that type of stuff. That's what it seems like. Only this was like 2009, so I'm like, you're a few years too late. I think the acting is okay, but the characters are very meh. The kills, there's a variety, but at the same time, it's not like, oh, this guy gets his head cut off and his mouth torn open. There's a variety, but I wouldn't call it gory. And then the ending, spoilers, super spoilers. It's down to just her and her brother, and the parents think she's crazy because nobody remembers her friends. Her brother doesn't remember her friends. So they're ready to put her in a hospital, and she's escaping, finds that girl who's in a coma. The brother gets killed pretty much off screen, it seems, because I don't remember a damn thing. That's not even a pun on the title. The lead girl pulls the plug, but it's too late. The ghost goes after her, and then you come to find out that, and sorry about my neighbor's roosters, apparently they're wanting to forget this movie too. It ends with that girl coming out of her coma, and our lead girl is now in a coma. So I guess the family will... Yeah, so now our lead is in a coma. ... Permanent sleep. But I don't know, I just thought the ending was kind of lame. But at the same time, I didn't really care a whole in-depth, so it's not like I was mad. I'm like, oh, whatever, figures for this kind of movie. Kind of a lame movie, it's kind of a lame ending. It's called Forget Me Not, and it's ironic because it's rather forgettable. Like I said, the only interest is that neat idea that deserves, like you said, a better movie. Not a wannabe ghost, wannabe kind of slasher, ghost story, Japanese, Like, if you told me this was a remake of a Japanese ghost story movie, I would believe it. But I don't know, it left a lot to be desired, and there's nothing I would ever get me to rewatch the film again. So, with that said, thanks for watching, take care. If it still interests you, feel like... I mean, even the title, the poster is kind of generic looking too. That does look like something you would see on when there was video stores at the DVD era, and there was a dime a dozen direct-to-DVD film that came out, and okay, and you passed by it, like I said, it gets a little bit of credit for the bits it does utilize that idea. I'm like, that's the most interesting part. Again, like this house that used to be, looking fantastic, and then like the next day it's all run down as if it has been used for decades because of what happened. Again, the sheriff turning from a nice guy, but then when his daughter's erased, that ripple effect, that butterfly effect. But then it's like, why not just go rewatch the butterfly effect? Where, because of certain changes, certain things get erased, and then you see the repercussions. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I would rather see the butterfly effect. That's really what it is, in a way. And I'm like, that's what I mean by utilizing it in a better way. Like the butterfly effect, for an Ashton Kutcher film, it's actually rather good, and at times poignant and dark, and there's some really fucked up elements and pretty interesting story. This is an interesting idea that does not become an interesting story in the slightest. I guess unless you're super duper duper into any amount of ghost stories. So I keep saying ghost stories. I never ghost because the girl's in a coma. She's not dead. She's in a coma. So I don't know. I keep saying ghost story, but it's technically not a ghost story. I guess spirit, like astral projection. I guess a spirit story. So I guess technically maybe whatever. Well, I think girls. I think of someone that's dead. So I guess spirit whatever. Which, hell, I saw that in an episode of The X-Files where a guy was, I think he was in the military, I think it was called The Walk, where he has no legs and arms, and so he'll astral project himself to kill people. So he'll be like sleeping, and his spirit, his force would go to kill people. I'm like, you know what, I like that episode better. Although I didn't have the idea. It's an interesting idea, but forgettable execution. So, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.